Hey future millionaires, and welcome to another article review. Today's article review is going to focus on 9 tips to help you get debt free while preserving wealth along the way. Before we jump into it, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy another article review from the Next Chapter team. Jumping into the review, the first tip it calls out is to review your debts and list out the interest, because you might have to prioritize your highest interest debt. High interest debts usually are connected to credit cards. Credit cards have revolving balance credit, and those revolving lines usually have a very high interest rate. Those interest rates are 15, can reach as 15 or 20% or even higher. But more importantly than that, this interest, especially on the personal front, you can't write that off in any way, shape, or form. So I like to think about it that way. These interests that you can't have any financial advantage to long term are really going to hurt you. Again, so these high interest debts are probably killing your chances of building wealth. So it may be time to prioritize those first. But we have a tip further along that helps you figure out which one is best for you, which debt you should start with. Tip number 2 that may work for you is leveraging debt consolidation. And what they're talking about here is if you take out a loan that is for a big dollar amount, say like 40 or 50,000. I'm just using that as an example, and you consolidate a bunch of smaller loans into that one loan. You can end up having a lower interest rate. That lower interest rate allows you to pay it off a little quicker. The important tip there, if you're going to do that, really important tip though is, especially if you're taking credit cards, if you're taking like say $50,000 between 3 or 4 credit cards and consolidating it into one loan, the important tip there is, then from there, focus on that loan and focus on not putting new balances on that credit card. Okay? Because if you're just going to continue to use that credit card and then rebuild it, then you end up with a double problem. You went from having 3 or 4 credit cards to 3 or 4 credit cards balances with a big loan as well. So you have even more problems. So leveraging debt consolidation wisely. It'd be extremely disciplined if you go down this road. But overall, if you want to get rid of debts, you have to become disciplined and you have to become aggressive about resolving your financial challenge that you might have. Tip number 3, building an emergency fund. And what they're calling out here is building at least a 1-month emergency fund, and maybe even on top of it, depending on who you are, you may want to start to have a little plan to build it up to be even higher. Think of it this way: if you have an emergency fund that's say 1 month, then from there you put together a plan that by the end of the year it'll be 6 months. So you chop up that 1 month and to make it really small amounts, and you put that away aggressively alongside while you're paying off debts. That'll help you get to a good position. That emergency fund will help you stop from going into further debts when an emergency comes up. And simple emergencies that come up so often: medical, car issues, or if you're a homeowner, something dramatic or happens around your house, usually like a new appliance. I'm gonna cross my fingers for all of you. It's a small appliance that you have to replace randomly. But again, an emergency fund is critical along your wealth building journey, and as well as your journey to become financially independent and reduce your debts in your life. Next up, investing strategically. And they're calling out along the way, you can do some investing that is automatic and even in many cases to your benefit. And they're calling out here the 401k. And what they're saying here, if your budget can support it, is, so we'll say after you have an emergency fund and you've got a good grasp and you're not behind on anything, you know what you should do along the way, especially if your budget can support it. This is very user specific, very person specific, is take advantage of that 401k. Specifically, get that employer match. So again, some rules around this one: get that employer match. Make sure you have an emergency fund. Make sure you're not behind on bills. Those first 2, and then 3, make sure you can consistently, so month to month, week to week, consistently support contributing to your 401k. Get that match. Most companies have a match that are reasonably between 3 and 4%, and you don't have to invest you're only investing between 3 and say 6 or 7% of your total pay. And that is not that much when you think about it over the course of the year. But while you're stressed, you don't have an emergency fund, or you're behind on bills, it's going to feel like a lot. So that's why we say, big tip, take care of getting into that position that you can do it consistently. It'll help you be less stressed about it and stay more consistent. Next up, figure out which debt repayment plan is best for you, whether it be debt snowball or debt avalanche. Let's do a quick recap of what the difference is. Debt snowball, you're going to start with your smallest one, then move on to your next smallest, and so on. So if you have three different debts, say a 5K, 10K, and a 25K, you start with that 5K, pay that off, roll over that minimum payment into your efforts to pay for your 10K, and after you pay off that $10,000 one, put together those two minimum payments and roll that into the 20K debt. And you're not worried about your interest rate along the way. You're worried about making traction. So you start out real small with the snowball, right? It's a small amount, then it's slightly bigger, then slightly bigger, and so on and so forth. And specifically, we're talking about debts that are not on a home. We're talking about medical bills, cars, car insurance, something that credit cards, or even student loans, right? But that one's very user specific. The other method is called the debt avalanche. The debt avalanche says, hey, focus on your highest interest first, and then move on to your next highest interest. And then you're not so focused on the balance. This is very user specific. My biggest tip to anyone here is pick the method that you're going to go with, whether it be debt snowball or debt avalanche, and stick with it. Stick with it till you're done. Don't flip-flop every month. If you're going to have to flip because you paid off something. Make that traction. Have that win. I'm more of a debt snowball fan, but that's just because I like to have that win. Those small wins along the way. I like to see that progress. Anyway, pick your debt payoff method, stick to it, and you can make progress and put yourself in an amazing position to win financially. Next tip, you got to increase your income. Just really, do whatever you have to do to increase your income. Now, I know this is harder for the parents, especially if there's multiple kids, but if you're without kids and you're in a relationship, just work. Just work. Do extra work. Position yourself, have conversations with your managers, supervisors, whatever it may be, about what it would take to help increase your income. And when you get that increase in income, throw that directly at your debts. And when you're all done with your debts, juice up that 401k, increase that savings rate. And also along the way, have some small wins, right? Have some small wins and enjoy it, and big celebrations, so small celebrations along the way. But again, this tip is focus on increasing your income, whether it be some side gigs, freelance work, but dedicate that extra income to paying off those debts, resolving these challenges in your life. Next tip, tame that impulse spending. You got to tame that impulse spending. I like to say, I remind people it is so important to have an understanding of what you want to spend on. And I do have some small amount of money per paycheck that you can indulge in impulses, but really, too much impulse spending is really going to wreak havoc and slow you down on your journey. So control that impulse spending. And if you're watching this during a holiday season or something, make a list, right? Make your list, stay focused, know who you need to spend big on. And another tip, when you're doing your monthly budget, look forward at the month and say, what's coming up? And for the big things coming up, like a wedding or a big party you have to go to, get gifts and such, get ahead of it. For those married couples, you know your anniversary. It's not a surprise, all right? So really, get in front of impulse spending, control it, and you can do this. You can make headway, but you've got to control yourself. Next tip, practice mindful spending. And that control will help you have mindful spending. Really what they're saying here is make sure your budget aligns to your financial goals and you track it, which leads you to the very last tip. Regularly assess your goals. They're calling out here, and I love this one. Along the way, have an accountability partner so you can do regular check-ins, monthly or quarterly check-ins with your accountability partner. Say, hey, started out the year with 70K in debts. Over the first quarter, had some bumps, but I reduced it by 5K. My target for the next quarter is reduce it by another 10 or 15K because I got over those bumps in the first quarter and then you just keep going, right? You work that plan, talking about from a quarterly and a monthly perspective. You can do this, but you've got to be focused. But along the way, you know what we didn't say? We didn't say take out a 401k loan. We didn't say take out more loans. We didn't say I'm not going to save it all. By following these tips, you can make some progress as well as along the way build some wealth and keep the wealth that you already have. And even if it's a small amount of wealth, this is to my younger viewers, even if it's a small amount of wealth, that little bit will help you, especially when you break free from the debt challenges that you may have. And everyone's got a different mix here. And if you're a high income earner, like a doctor that has some big debts, you just have a higher income, right? So you may have higher debts. Your plan's going to be about the same, just more zeros. I mean, honestly, it's going to feel a little different because there's more zeros. But you can do this. With a plan, you can do this. Here's a quick recap. 9 tips to help you get out of debt while preserving that wealth. Number 1, list out those debts. List out those debts and know the interest rates with each. Number 2, evaluate debt consolidation. Again, so this is getting like a loan to help you pay off all your debts. And then you pay in just that loan. Instead of having like 5, 6 debts, you're paying on just one debt. But only as needed, and make good choices here. Don't do like a loan that's against your car or your home. Skip that noise. Then from there, number 3, build an emergency fund. Building an emergency fund will help you along the way stay consistent and not go further back into debt, because you will have emergencies along the way. Sorry, that's life. This is going to happen. The more money you have, the less impactful it will be. And the more money in that emergency fund, the less impactful it will be. Invest strategically. Again, they're calling out here, take advantage of that 401k match. And I have to agree. If you have a decent 401k opportunity, take it. Number 5, choose your debt pay down method. Either the avalanche or the snowball. Again, avalanche focuses on the highest interest rate first, then you move on to the second highest interest rate. Debt snowball focuses instead on the smallest amount of debt first, and then from there you roll that minimum payment of your first debt into your next one. Both of them require you to roll forward the minimum payments into the next debt. Number 6, increase that income. So do side gigs, freelance work to help increase that income. And you know what? Also, put yourself on a path to promotion in your day job. Have conversations with your manager. What does it take to move up the next level? What opportunities are coming up? How do I position myself? What can I take off your plate so it's an easier conversation with the people teams or HR teams to fight for me to get a raise? Number 7, tame that impulse spending. You cannot just spend like a maniac if you want to try to make progress on paying off debts. Number 8, practice mindful spending. So intentionality, my friends, intentionality, and on your spending every week, every month. Number 9, track your progress. Make monthly goals, have an accountability partner, and with that accountability partner, focus on, did you achieve the monthly goals? What were the lessons learned? Or if it's not monthly, quarterly goals. And be honest with yourself. You're going to make mistakes. I like to tell people the first 90 days of budgeting is the most challenging, because you know what? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have hiccups. It's going to be challenging. But you know what? A lot of the most amazing things in life are challenging. So stay steadfast, my friends. You guys can do this. You can transform your financial situation. Hope you enjoyed the article review. Many more to come. See you in the next video.
Hey, thanks for staying to the end. This video is brought to you by the Next Chapter team. If you enjoyed the video, please take a moment to hit that like button, drop a comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family. This will help the channel reach out to more individuals just like you. We offer one-on-one coaching where we work with people and small businesses to determine a clear path to achieving their financial goals. This includes things like budgeting to reduce debts, planning for big purchases, and even learning how to build wealth with the tools that you have readily available to you. So please see our link below to schedule a free 30-minute call with our team to talk through coaching and understanding your current financial situation. Also, check out some of our affiliate links below for a high yield savings account. This is a great place to put your money when you're saving up for those big purchases and your emergency fund. Check out some of our videos right here. And please enjoy and see you in the next video.